Hi there, students. I will be discussing copyreading and headline writing. I hope you have reliable knowledge and experiences in writing paragraphs. It is also important that you first at least have backgrounds on news writing. If you haven't, I hope you would learn those first so you can absorb our present discussion better. In our discussion of copyreading and headline writing, you will be learning how to edit mistakes on news drafts. So, of course, you will need to know how to write news even better than news writers. This can be very useful to you, not only in the world of journalism, but also in most of your writing tasks in the future. And there will be a lot of them at the university and at work. So, I really hope you'd listen and pay attention. In only a few minutes, I will be teaching you stuff I have learned for several weeks when I was young and honed for several years after. So you better make full use of all the time you're spending on this video, okay? Alright, let's get started. First off, what are your thoughts about copy readers? What do they do? A copy reader is a specialist who improves the news story and makes it worth reading. When we say specialist, we mean someone with special knowledge and skills at a particular task. A copy reader should have a general knowledge of all forms of journalism, but should also be specialist in spotting and correcting errors. We also have there the word improves. What do we mean by this in this context? It means that the copy reader is not the one who originally writes a news article. News writers write their news drafts first. Then the copy reader checks it for sentence errors and errors in news construction. The copy reader also corrects or gives directions on how the article should be printed on the newspaper. You will learn about all that further in the discussion. What is the importance of the role of the copy reader? First is to help the newspaper bring more accurate information to the readers. When we say accurate, this means exact and correct. This is important since newspapers, especially news articles, should only deliver facts. Newspapers should only deliver the truth. This is why newspapers are considered valid and reliable sources of information. Another importance of the role of the copy reader is to save the newspaper from criticisms, libel suits, and embarrassments. First, what is libel? It is a criminal act of speaking or writing wrong, defamatory, and degrading information about an individual or group, intentionally or not. So journalists should be careful about what they write and speak. This is important and crucial. A newspaper should uphold its reputation of delivering only the truth. Publishing wrong information about a certain individual, business, company, or groups can earn them libel charges. Specifically, what are the duties of a copy reader? Number 1, check the content. First, you check the facts. Did the writer put the correct names of people and places? Did he put the correct time and place? Are the details correct? Next, as a copy reader, you correct the errors in grammar, spelling, punctuation, usage, and organization. A copy reader should be good about these things. Then the copy reader correct the cases of editorializing. What do we mean by that? This is also important. The copy reader should notice any word or words that hint on the opinion of the writer. The writer's opinion is not important in news writing. A journalist's opinion should only be written where? In the editorial articles. which is why the inappropriate adding of personal opinions and news articles are called editorializing. Next is you mark the copy by using symbols. What are these symbols? So this is the symbol used when you need to capitalize a letter or an entire word. Just draw 3 lines under the letter or word. For example, my flight to UK is on Wednesday. So we put 3 lines under the letters that should be capitalized. The symbol used for turning an uppercase letter into lowercase is to simply draw a slash through the letter. Example, Leonor Briones, DepEd Secretary, claimed that. So we slash through some letters in the acronym DepEd since only the D and second E should be capitalized in this acronym, correct? It is also important to note that the first letter or letters of position titles, such as secretary, are capitalized if it comes before the name and set in lowercase if it comes after the name, such as the case in this example. This is the symbol used when you need the first letter to remain in uppercase but the rest of the letters in lowercase. In this example, only the C should be in uppercase in city. Therefore, we use this symbol. And this symbol is used to delete unnecessary characters in the text. This is the symbol used when you need to bring the characters together, used to rejoin characters in a word that were incorrectly separated. And this is how you insert a word, letter, or almost any other symbol except the ones I will further discuss. I think we have all used this commonly before, right? This is how you put a space between characters. You put a slash between them. Unlike inserting a letter in lowercase that we have discussed earlier, where we put the slash through the letter itself. This is how you insert a period. Just draw a visible period and encircle it for emphasis. For example, after a sentence, of course, we put a period in the end. This is how we insert apostrophe or quotation marks. When I was 10, I thought they looked like smileys. Now I'm 25, I still think they look like smileys. Look at them. And these are the symbols used to insert a comma, to insert a colon, and to insert a semicolon. Transpose is to interchange words that were incorrectly interchanged in the draft. In this example, other and each were incorrectly interchanged. So we use this symbol to correct their placements. Next is to spell out. Although it is important for news article to be concise or to be as short as it can be, while delivering the news properly and completely, we do not unnecessarily abbreviate words in news writing since it is a form of formal writing. We only abbreviate position titles when they are written before the person's name and that the person's full name is written. Otherwise, we spell the word out. Just as I was saying, when we write the first and last names of a person, then we must abbreviate the position title if it was written before the person's name. And to abbreviate in a word in copyreading, we simply encircle it. But what do you do when you corrected a certain word, but then you realize it was already correctly written in the first place? That is when you use stet to disregard your incorrect correction. This is the symbol used to indent a paragraph or to mark that it should be the beginning of a new paragraph. So here we have it marked in the beginning of the paragraph and on the word Bicol. Now let's check it that if that's correct. A total of 163,285 Bicolanos were vaccinated on November 29, 2021 per Vaccine Online Registry System VORS as of 9:30 a.m. today, November 30, 2021. What do you call the sentence or paragraph now? If you have previously learned about news writing, you would identify that as what? Yes, that is the lead paragraph. The lead paragraph contains the information of the WH questions. What? People vaccinated. Who? Bicolanos. When? 9:30 a.m. November 30, 2021. And so on. Also, except when it involves a famous person, people's names should not be included in the lead paragraph. I really hope you have learned news writing first before watching this video. Next is when you need to connect a sentence or phrase to the previous paragraph, you use this symbol. Here is a list of things that we may or should italicize: journals and magazines, plays, long musical pieces, cinema, television and radio programs, artworks, famous speeches, long poems, pamphlets, quotations or terms written in another language. We do almost the same steps to set a word into bold font, except instead of ital, we write BF and encircle it. And when there are words that are in incorrect font, we follow the same steps also, except we write WF. When you're done marking the text, you now number the paragraphs in its proper order by writing the numbers on their left side and encircling them. And lastly, at the bottom of the last paragraph, you write an encircled 30 or 3 octothorpes, which would signify the end of the news article. You may also find other symbols in the internet other than these, but I cover the basic ones for beginners. After the copy reader has marked the draft for corrections, he will now write the news headline. A headline writer should flash the message of the news accurately in a short, telegraphic manner. Why is this necessary? One is to save space on the newspaper page. Another purpose is to keep it straight to the point. He should also master the headline schedule, structure, font size, and type, and etc. Again, you should have prior knowledge in news writing before learning copy reading and headline writing. Why do we write news headlines? To give the gist of the news, it should tell what the news article is about in the fewest words possible. Next, it should present the news for rapid survey reading. The newspaper has various sections for easier location of a certain news that the reader is looking for. Headlines font size are also set in accordance to the level of importance of each news story. Headlines aid the reader to spot the news he is looking for. It shall indicate the relative importance of the news. As I've said, the headline font type and size depends on the news story's importance. Headlines also give a pleasing appearance to the news page to create balance and proper divisions. Varied font types and sizes also encourage further reading instead of a full page of entirely uniform fonts. Why is it important to identify the correct lead paragraph and to write a good headline in a journalism contest? From the lead paragraph you have identified, you formulate the headline. If you have the wrong headline, the judges will no longer go through your paper. What are the rules in writing headlines? First, make it easy to read and understand. It usually follows the subject and predicate pattern. For example, Roque gets COVID or Roque acquires COVID. Third rule is to be specific. This example is in case of campus journalism. Instead of writing student granted scholarship, write Salazar wins UP grant. You have stated the student's last name and the school that granted the scholarship. However, this is only in the case of campus journalism. In other local and national newspapers, you only indicate the person's name in the headlines and lead paragraph if the person is famous. Otherwise, names should appear in the second and further paragraphs. I would also add that the first letter of the headline is always in capital letter, but no need to capitalize every other first letter of a word in a headline unless it is necessary, just like UP in this case, which as we all know stands for University of the Philippines. Another interesting rule in English headline writing is to use present tense for past events. For example, instead of writing Senate passed budget, write Senate passes budget. But it is a different case in Filipino headline writing. You use past tense in headlines if it is a past event in Filipino headline writing. Okay? Fifth is to use infinitives for future events. Instead of writing, Albay will host RSPC, write, Albay to host RSPC. Sixth is to avoid splitting a verb phrase. A headline should be easy to read and logically written and arranged on the pages. Seventh is to also avoid splitting a noun phrase. In this case, the noun phrase is gold medal, which should not be separated into two lines. Last is to write numbers in figures. For example, instead of writing 4.1 billion pesos in words, write it in numeric form in this manner. This is in the case of headlines though. For the news story itself, one-digit numbers should be spelled out. The rest should be written in numeric form. I will be flashing headline vocabularies to help you use fewer characters in your headlines without compromising the thought and meaning. After using symbols to mark corrections and writing the headline, it is now time to write the printer's direction and slug. For example, if the headline runs in 2 lines on the news page, write 2. Next, write the font size number of the headline. Then write the font type. Copyreaders use shortened symbols to be able to work faster, so the printer's direction and slug look like a code like this. 2-16 TNRI. So those are the basic things you need to know to begin copy reading and headline writing. To conclude, these are the things you must do to be a good copy reader. Number 1, be accurate. Important details must be indicated and should of course be correct and not misleading. Number 2, confirm facts and verify names. News writers are imperfect too, and it is the copyreader's job to check facts that the writers may have overlooked or written incorrectly. Number 3, also, don't forget to check the dates and times indicated in the article. Number 4, a copyreader should be a master of details since he should be able to spot the mistakes that were overlooked by everyone else. Number 5, a copyreader should have a broad knowledge from rules in English or Filipino writing to rules in writing all forms of articles in the newspaper to the general knowledge in every topic that will appear in the news such as politics, business, law, agriculture, entertainment, and basically everything else. If you have a knack for learning and for details, you're good to go. Good luck!